Hey everyone, this is the Next Archer, and welcome to my second part in my Everyday Carry series. This will be on one-hand opening knives, and yeah, the reason I am not doing like the case knives and everything is because it's such a big genre that I think I should split the knives you can open with two hands with the knives you open with one hand. So that will be a separate video. Okay, the first thing you're going to want to look at is the legality. What are the laws in your local area or country? Are you allowed to carry a knife? So, you're not going to want to carry something like this if you're in most of the European places, because it has a lock. In Europe, I think it's England, you're not allowed carrying a knife with a lock. So, most of these you're not going to be able to carry if you live really anywhere in Europe. But check your local knife laws or your country's knife laws and see what knife you're allowed to carry. That's the first step in seeing what knife is a good everyday carry knife, because you don't want to get arrested for weapons charges when you're not going to be using it as a weapon. And if you are going to be using it as a weapon, I advise that you get off my YouTube video. Unless you're military or police, then that's another story. Okay, so what is your use? And that kind of goes into blade shape. So are you going to be cutting boxes, food preparation? Are you going to be camping or hiking? Are you part of EMS, or is your use going to be tactical, such as police and military? Or is it just going to be random, everyday carry chores? So let's start with box cutting. What knives are good at cutting boxes? About every blade style is good at cutting boxes, except for knives with a chisel grind on them. That's when it has no grind on this side, but has a one-sided grind. I don't like those knives. They just don't seem to cut as well for like boxes and that kind of stuff. And also tanto points. That just does not work well with boxes. Some people may disagree. I have my own opinion, and it's from use. Okay, box cutting, food preparation. The best food preparation knife is a knife with a full flat grind, as it cuts through food easily. I actually use this knife very much for food preparation. Also, if it has a hollow grind, it's not as good as a full flat grind for food prep, but it will work. So, hunting and camping. I don't really suggest hunting and camping a folding knife, but for like skinning a deer or all that kind of stuff, I would suggest getting a very bulky knife, one with a very good lock, very secure. This is the Cold Steel Recon 1. As you can see, it's a very bulky knife, big knife, that you wouldn't normally carry in other scenarios. So, something big, bulky would be great for hunting and camping. Unless you're going to be like ultralight backpacking, then you won't want to be carrying such a big knife. So that's just what's the best type. So EMS, what are you going to want for EMS? So if you're emergency medical, I don't even remember what it stands for right now, but you're going to probably want something that's a rescue blade, because you're going to be probably cutting people out of cars, trying to save people. You're not going to want to accidentally stab the person. So you're going to want something with a blunted tip, probably serrations, because it cuts through seat belts and that kind of stuff. And I'll show you right here that you cannot be stabbed with this, as it does not have a sharp tip. You can see no blood. So there you go. You're going to want something probably fully serrated with a blunt tip. So I have this one. It has the Emerson Wave. It catches on your pants, so you can open it quickly. One-handed, as all these knives are one-handed. So if you're part of EMS, you're going to want something that's opened quickly, because people's lives are on the line. So a tactical knife, which would be police or military, what are you going to want? You're going to want something that, if you're going to be using it for a offensive or a defensive way, you're going to want something that opens quickly, you might want something like this, has the Emerson wave, a good stabbing motion, because if you're military or police, you might be using it as a secondary weapon in case your gun is unable to be reached. You might want to get something like an automatic knife. When you're going into automatics though, you're going to be paying more than $100. So something like the Emerson wave, something that's also good would be a Tanto point, or just something with a nice tip, because it's going to be used in an offensive way, most likely if you're military or police. What size or weight is logical in your setting? You're not going to want a box cutter if you're in the military, or a machete if you're in an office environment. So, basically saying that you're not going to want to bring this to an office environment, or if you're military, you're not exactly going to want to bring something like this. So you want something a healthy size, you want something that can fit in your pocket, not be uncomfortable, but still be able to be easily reached and easily used for your scenario. So you're really going to have to look at it and be like, what am I going to use this for, and what knife fits best. So really, like, that was kind of explaining it, and what blade shape is best. Just look at the weights of them, feel what feels best, and just don't get something inappropriate for your environment. Also, if you're going to bring one to work, make sure you know your work's rules about knives, etc. How much should you spend? For a nice knife, it's about $30. You can get a nice Chinese-made knife for $30. If you want something American-made, it's about $50. So yeah, that's really the price. You're not going to want to get something from a flea market, one of those cheap $5 flea market knives, because honestly, they're unsafe. They can close on your fingers. You're going to want to go with something with like a name brand like Buck, CRKT, SOG, something with a warranty. So if it has a lifetime warranty on it, it probably is a good company. So that's one thing you want to look for. If you're going to be if you're police or military, you're going to be spending a little more on a knife, simply because you want to get something very secure. So yeah. What blade steel should you use? Mostly avoid the no-name stainless steel. If it just says stainless on it, I'd avoid getting that knife. That's one way of saying that a knife is not very good. As you can see, well, you probably can't see that, but all this says is stainless steel, or rust-free. Avoid those types of knives. Some, like a lot of times the case knives, just say rust-free. They're more of a office environment knife, as that is not a very scary knife. All this brings me back to the point, what size and weight is logical. If you're in an office environment, carry something like that. If you're out hunting, you can carry something like this, depending on your laws and everything like that. Okay, so what knife is good at killing stuff? Get off my channel. So, there you go, if that's one of the questions you're asking. Okay, what handle material should you get? Is plastic, rubber, natural materials? It doesn't matter. As long as it has a good feel in your hand, that's just about enough. I didn't put this down here, but what locking system is the best? Whatever is really best for you. There's liner locks. One thing you're going to want to make sure with liner locks is that when you open it, it does not go all the way to this side. If it does, it could fail on you. If it doesn't even engage, you're going to want to take your hand and push on the back of the blade. If it closes, it's probably not a good blade. Feel if there's any blade play. There may be a little, that's acceptable, but if the blade closes when it's locked, you're not going to want to get rid of it right away. I mean, this is if it's a locking blade. Handle material, yeah, G10, plastic, aluminum, then there's natural materials like bone. It really just depends on what environment you're going to be in. Like, if it's going to be in a wet environment, you're not going to want to get something like aluminum that's slippery. So it really just depends on the environment. So you're going to want to look at that. You're going to want to feel the knife before you get it. Especially if it's your first knife and you don't know much about them, you're going to want to hold it in your hand before you buy one. But they're all good materials. So yeah. Okay, China versus Japan versus America. Does it matter? Does it matter what country the knife is from? In my opinion, it doesn't. Some people are only buy America. Honestly, Japanese knives a lot of times are just as good, if not better, than American-made knives. If you want to support the country, that's great. If you want to get something cheap and good, Japan is a little cheaper than America. And then China, their quality can be questionable, but as long as you get it from a well-known manufacturer, then you should be fine. I would avoid CRKT for your first knife and go with something from Kershaw, or you could get something, if you're from America, like the Kershaw Ripple. They sell these at Walmart for $30. Great knife. Okay, before buying a knife, note how it feels in your hand. Make sure it feels good in your hand. There's nothing worse than getting a knife, it being very uncomfortable in your hand to hold, and not wanting to use it or carry it. Also, you're going to want to feel how it feels in your pocket. Make sure it doesn't weigh down your pants or it doesn't look weird. So, that's some stuff that you really want to make sure of. Also, one thing I just forgot. There's not only steel blades that you can also get ceramic. I wouldn't suggest ceramic for anything but food preparation because very brittle steel. Okay. Some knives are more comfortable than others. Make sure the knife you get is comfortable, otherwise you're not going to want to use it. Make sure it's light enough to be able to be used in a scenario that you want it to be used in. You're not wanting to carry this. If you get something this big and heavy, you're not going to want to carry it, so get something a medium size if you're going to use it on occasions. But if you're going to be just carrying it one time or something, you can get something like that, or if you're going to be camping and using it hardcore. So yeah, get a medium weight knife, and just have fun. Just make sure don't do anything irresponsible. I'm just going to say this right now. I'm not responsible if you get in trouble for any of these things. I already told you guys, follow the law. If you're doing this or if you're looking for a knife for a reason that's not responsible, please don't get one. So there you go. This is my video, what you should look for when trying to get your first everyday carry knife. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope it wasn't too long for you guys. I'll see you later.